Americans are as desperate for an end to this nightmare as they are for this one. Unfortunately for us, the first one is in charge of defeating the last one.
We are marshaling America's scientific genius to produce a vaccine in record time. Before the end of the year, and maybe even before November 1st. We think we could probably have it sometime during the month of October. These are the people, the best, the smartest, the most brilliant anywhere. And they've come up with the AIDS vaccine.
Just one minor fact check here at the end. There is no AIDS vaccine.
Well, not with that attitude, Brian. Experts are predicting that a vaccine for coronavirus may be ready by the end of the year, which would be the best Christmas gift ever. Right behind the board game Heartthrob. Bring it back, Milton Bradley. I want to choose my boyfriend from 60 gorgeous guys. Last week, however, the president contradicted his experts by promising a vaccine could be available to some people by Election Day. And if that timing sounds like he's politicizing the vaccine, it's because he is.
Just another sign that the Trump administration's race for a COVID-19 vaccine might have more to do with votes than the vaccine. The government's own CDC now telling states to prepare for large-scale vaccine distribution by November 1st. That is 2 days before the presidential election.
To push this out a couple days before the election is absurd and reckless, in my opinion, and this is all about politics.
Pushing out a vaccine too soon is reckless, but so is doing an interview in front of what I assume is a hand-painted portrait of Dr. Fauci. Girl, what kind of paint night was that? Even weirder, Fauci posed for it nude. They painted a shirt on him because his body was just too distracting. Trump wants the vaccine to be his October surprise, not to be confused with Trump's regular October surprise, a ghost. Look, we need a COVID-19 vaccine. It could save millions of lives, help rescue the global economy, and let me get back to doing what I like to do best. Going to Yankee Candle, picking up all the candles, wet sniffing them, and putting them back on the shelf for someone else to buy. We want a vaccine, but it has to be safe and effective, not rushed out to meet an arbitrary political deadline. Typically, vaccine development takes 10 to 15 years, which allows for thorough research and testing. Scientists hope to shatter that by developing a vaccine in less than 1 year. That's lightning fast, totally unheard of, and only imaginable because many countries are united. I mean, kind of.
In the race to find a cure for COVID-19, the Trump administration says the U.S. will not participate in a global effort to develop a vaccine. In a statement to NBC News, the White House said in part, quote, "The United States will continue to engage our international partners to ensure we defeat this virus, but we will not be constrained by multilateral organizations influenced by the corrupt World Health Organization and China."
Why the would you remove the U.S. from the global effort to fight COVID-19? That's like if all the countries threw a pizza party, but we brought our own personal pan. America isn't the only superpower racing through development. China and Russia have already approved vaccines before testing was complete.
The Chinese have approved a vaccine for their military, again without a phase 3 trial.
In the global race for a coronavirus vaccine, Russia said today it's already won, even though it hasn't completed phase 3 trials. The vaccine is officially called Sputnik V for vaccine.
What better name to give life-saving medicine than a program that claimed the lives of 17 dogs? In Russia, frontline workers are reluctant to be the first to try a vaccine that hasn't completed testing, and few, if any, have taken up the offer to be vaccinated. Putin's vaccine has been called just a political statement, so surprise, our president is doing exactly the same thing. But even if a vaccine were tested, ready, and wrapped up with a beautiful bow, the country is not at all ready to distribute it. While the U.S. has committed more than $10 billion to develop the vaccine, so far it's allocated exactly $0 toward getting it to people.
We're looking at getting more Americans vaccinated and potentially with 2 doses.
So many more doctors, clinics, pharmacies are needed to get to everyone.
We need to get them trained. We need to make sure they understand how to store the vaccine.
Most importantly, we need to make sure there are enough stickers and lollipops for not crying when you get your shot. The federal government is relying on local and state health departments to distribute the vaccine, But the U.S. public health system has been underfunded for decades. Health departments say they lack the necessary PPE, staff, money, and tools to educate people. Not only that, they also expect a shortage of needles and those little glass vials needed to hold the vaccine. So now we'll have to take the vaccine like we take our vodka, by soaking a tampon in it. Furthermore, the vaccine will need to be stored at sub-zero temperatures, which will require extra refrigeration, or else employees will really have to double-check the freezer when they grab their Halo tops. Thanks to their intense clinical testing, vaccines are among the safest medical products in the world. They save lives and are essential. That's why scientists warn us that historically, when it comes to their development, speed kills. You know what doesn't kill? Weed. Do weeds all the time. Oh, they make me so crazy and wild. Pot, grass, reefer. Makes no difference to me. Turned down for why? We don't have to look far back to find an example of why rushing a vaccine for political reasons is dangerous. In the 70s, Gerald Ford responded to an outbreak of H1N1 by skipping over protocols and rushing out a swine flu vaccine right before the 1976 election. It resulted in hundreds of people developing Guillain-Barré syndrome, which attacks the nerves. Not to be confused with Ghislaine-Maxwell syndrome, which, if you have, the president wishes you well. It's obvious why we should be relying on health experts here, not the president, and not just because he considers potato buns to be a vegetable. Even the pharmaceutical companies agree we need data.
Wall Street Journal reports several companies working to develop vaccines are taking an unusual step.
The companies, which include pharmaceutical giants like Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, will also refrain from submitting any vaccines for federal approval until there is sufficient data to prove the shots are safe.
It's crazy that we're living in a world where we're relying on drug companies to be the good guys. In the past, the best they've done is give some people boners for 4 hours. It may be dangerous, but also, it's funny. Trump sees a vaccine as the silver bullet for his reelection, but a vaccine shouldn't be tied to what happens in November. To end this pandemic, we have to put our faith in public health officials, regardless of how distracting their hot bods are. If you liked this video, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments below. And if you didn't like this video, I'm sure you've already left a comment. Thank you so much.